Hey guys, JamesMCD Reviews here, and before we get into today's episode of the Cinematic Bucket List series, I'd like to deliver a bit of a PSA. In a few short weeks from the time this video comes out, there's going to be a new Looney Tunes movie releasing in theaters called The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. And it's not just a new Looney Tunes movie, it is, to my knowledge, the first fully animated Looney Tunes movie. I know they had a bunch of compilation movies in the 70s and 80s, but I'm talking like original animation from start to finish, no live action stuff. This new movie, I'm pretty sure, is the first. The trailer's been out for a couple of months now, and it looks like a lot of fun, but why am I sharing this with you now? Well, after the Warner Bros. Discovery merger that happened a while back, several movies and specials that were in production were canceled and deleted midway. And one of the many casualties of this purge was Coyote vs. Acme, a Looney Tunes movie starring Will Forte and John Cena. Now, when word got out of this movie being canceled, there were hordes of people begging and pleading Warner to reconsider and release the movie. Hashtags were being spread all across Twitter, and still are to this day. I assume I don't use Twitter anymore. But pretty much all of this was in vain. Warner's was like, yeah, no, we budged with the Snyder Cut, but we're not budging this time. Now, why the hell am I bringing all of this up? Well, if by some miracle, Coyote vs. Acme still exists, and there is any chance of potentially coercing Warner Brothers into releasing the movie, going to see this new Looney Tunes movie might just be the way to go. If you played an active part in the hashtag release Coyote vs. Acme campaign, you're pretty much obligated to see this movie in theaters. Because if this thing flops, the lesson that Warner will incorrectly take from all this is that they shouldn't be trying to take risks on classic 2D animation, and that Coyote Acme was a financial bullet dodged. And even beyond that, if you spent all that time begging for Coyote Acme to be released, but then you don't go support this new Looney Tunes movie, we're all gonna be looking at you like this. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Anyway, now let's get to the actual point of this video. In celebration of this new Looney Tunes movie coming out, I figured we'd take a look at Looney Tunes Back in Action, released in 2003, directed by Joe Dante. The movie follows Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny teaming up with a recently fired stuntman, played by Brendan Fraser, and the vice president of Warner Bros., played by Jenna Elfman, on a globe-trotting adventure to stop the Acme Corporation, led by Steve Martin, from taking over the world. It sounds like a very standard story, and to an extent it is, but it mainly just exists to make fun of itself, tell a lot of goofy jokes, and overall just have a good time. And for the most part, a good time is exactly what I had. Back in Action came out 7 years after Space Jam, and while it's by far and away a huge improvement over Space Jam, I feel like it isn't as talked about as much. Maybe because it didn't do as well financially, maybe because, for better or worse, Space Jam was just generally more insane and memorable. And don't get me wrong, I do have kind of a soft spot for Space Jam, but I think Back in Action was a better experience overall because it wasn't just blatantly a commercial. Although I will say, one thing that Back in Action and Space Jam have in common is that they are both very much products of their time. This is a very 2003 movie, from the effects to some of the humor to just the look and feel of the film. You could show me this blind and I could still probably guess exactly when it came out. Some of that made the movie kind of interesting to watch. There are a few jokes about censorship and what's appropriate for kids and movies and TV, but at the same time, there are still plenty of comments and scenes that play very differently in 2025. The humor overall was pretty funny and got a few good laughs out of me. It's very sharp and keeps the quick wit from all the classic Looney Tunes cartoons. It plays with a lot of movie tropes and makes fun of this type of Hollywood movie. There are some great visual gags and some really funny cameos, which I won't spoil in case you haven't seen it. Although speaking on the visuals, they are kind of a mixed bag. The closest thing I can describe this as is that it feels like Looney Tunes meets Spy Kids. It's essentially a live-action cartoon, and sometimes it looks really good. There's a really great scene where they go into different paintings and take on the different art styles. Some of the action towards the final act is pretty fun and inventive, but a lot of the CG integrated with the 2D and live action just looks very dated and kinda awkward. In terms of the live action actors' performances and the live action segments in general, they were fine. Part of me kind of appreciated that the live action cast were essentially overacting to match the energy of the cartoon cast. Sometimes it works, but a lot of the time it's just kind of weird. Brendan Fraser was enjoyably hammy, Timothy Dalton was good for the limited screen time that he has in this, and Steve Martin and his constantly changing villain accent honestly felt kind of at home here. These aspects of the movie aren't the worst, but they aren't necessarily desirable for a Looney Tunes movie. You kind of just put up with them so that you can get back to the cartoon chaos that you're actually there for. But yeah, even though the movie is not perfect by any means, I still had a pretty good time with Back in Action. If you just want to see the Looney Tunes in a dumb, goofy, self-aware flick and you can put up with the live action stuff, I think you'll have fun with it. I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. But anyway, that does it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments, what did you think of Looney Tunes Back in Action? Do you love it? Do you hate it? How does it stack up in comparison to the other theatrical Looney Tunes movies? And are you planning on going to see the new one? Let me know all that stuff down below. I've got more videos coming real soon, but until then, be sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell so you can stay up to date on when I'm posting. Follow me on all my social media, subscribe to my main channel. Everything you need to know will be in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and that's all, folks.